What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Chewburger84 from the Alternate Reality Network, and we are back again with some Marvel Strike Force content. Now, if you're hungry for more, make sure you stop on by and download the Strike Force Masters of Launch podcast, available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you can get podcasts, you can find our great Strike Force podcast. Now, with the Gamma Raid returning, there is no better time to have a look at the Kree team. So I farmed up a few of these guys to around that tier 8 to tier 10 area, just so we can give you a bit of an idea of how this team's going to work. So for those of you that want to know what's going to happen with this video, in case you want to skip forward to anything, we're going to start off by going through each character individually and trying to justify what the best team might be. I'm going to show you 3 different team options. There is a 4th one, but I'm not going to run that today. And then at the end of that, I'm going to run those teams through. So let's go through these characters one by one. So first of all is the Kree Royal Guard. Now look, I also know that there are better team options than just Kree exclusively, by the way. But this is for obviously those lanes where you do have just Kree, okay? Showing you how this team can synergize together. Now, when the rework for Kree Royal Guard came about, I was quite excited because I saw his kit, and on paper, it seems like it's really good. And the reason for that is this. Now, there is only one T4 ability that I've put onto a character in this game that I regret, and this is it. This is so hit and miss that when it works really, really well, it works really, really, really well. But the rest of the time, it's pretty soft. So the thing with Kree Royal Guard is that basically when he gets hit when he has a taunt up, he is going to have a good chance of sharing energy with the rest of the squad. Now, if he gets slowed, or if there is basically a lot of very frequent, very fast hits on him, it rains down energy on the entire Kree team. And that gives them heals. It obviously lets them have their abilities, which means even more energy coming through this squad. On paper, it's a sensational ability. Here's where it falls down a little bit, okay? And that is on his taunt. So the great thing with the rework is that he does give defense up to all Kree allies. He heals himself for a reasonable amount. Obviously, if he's with Ronan, he's going to heal for even more. But the downside is, as you can see on the screen right now, it is a 5 energy ability. So if you use it on turn number 1 and then a Yondu just pings and steals that straight off of you, boom, you potentially have to refill 5 energy. It's too long to be the fantastic ability that it could have been and really get the engine humming for a Kree team energy-wise to really just spam that heals and get that team rocking and rolling. So he's not a terrible tank. I mean, he's reasonably beefy. His armor is fine. He obviously doesn't have that block chance like a lot of the other great tanks do, like Cap or Shield Security, or even now M'Baku for that matter. But he is still not bad. He does another thing that I like tanks to be able to do, which is gain counter. And that means that any counter-attacking abilities from someone trying to chain, it's going to interrupt. So if someone comes through, and a lot of those abilities will say, if you hit a counter, the chain will stop. So it's great that he gets that on the primary shot, but it's nothing too spectacular, okay? And it's not a guaranteed counter either. Sometimes it won't hit. So at the moment, I do get very lucky with him. He is at 5 stars. Yes, there is a T4 here, so you may see him perform a little bit better than perhaps yours would. If you're asking, should I T4 that ability? No. Please don't. I mean, there are so many better cases for this. I really wanted to try and get the Kree team to their maximum potential, and it really doesn't give me what you would want from there. It gives me a more reliable energy when he does have taunt, but still. Now, Kree Noble, however, is a very different story. As far as I'm concerned, there's only one, if you're talking about raids for Kree, essential T4 ability, and that is the passive for this character. So on her turn, she's going to clear 1 negative effect from 2 allies with negative effects. Now, if they're Kree, you are going to remove an additional one. So this basically means as a passive, okay, not an active ability, but as a passive, you are getting a massive cleanse on each one of her turns. And when you combine that with Ronan, which we'll look at very shortly, it means that this team can shake off buffs very effectively. And when you come up against teams like Brotherhood or characters like Doctor Strange or Mordo, who are going to be spamming you with debuffs and heal blocks, The Kree is actually really spectacular between these two characters of just shaking that straight off and getting back to business. So I believe this is definitely the essential T4 ability to make this team the best it can be in a raid environment. Now, this particular attack is quite good as well. I don't think it's worth going down into the T4 for it. But giving an assist now to adjacent ally. If that ally is Kree, then they gain offense up as well. And then attack the primary target for 465 damage. So 465%. So it does hit pretty hard. And that's good. But it's nothing, you know, that I guess a standard nuke wouldn't really cover. But the really exciting thing about this is that it's every 3 energy. I mean, she can have this ability up so frequently that you almost miss out on another great ability for Kree Noble. And that is her primary, because if you hit a target that has a positive effect up, then you have a 75% chance. You can take that up to 100, but I wouldn't recommend it, to actually give energy for 1 to 2 allies. Now, this presents an opportunity where if you are trying to refeed your Kree Royal Guard or your other teammates energy, and you see that one of your opposition characters has a buff, even if you have the special available for Noble, you probably still should use this, because that's going to have better returns for the team as a whole, instead of just using the single target DPS nuke from the assist. In Arena or Blitz, that's different, or even Alliance War, you would obviously use the single target nuke to wipe someone off the board, but Raids, it's all about sustain, and any way you can reduce the risk of someone dying is obviously a good thing to have. So for me, I believe that Kree Noble is one of the standout characters in this team. I think her and Ronan have almost equal footing for the best of the bunch as far as the minions go. In saying that, Minn-Erva is on a tier all of her own. I don't know whether you can just call her Kree or whether she's basically the meta of metas. I really cannot rave enough about her. By now you have already seen my video about me running through with her in Fear the Darkness Dark Dimension. She's insane. I mean, the amount of energy, the amount of heals that she can give her team behind heal blocks. She's, you know, doing an AoE that guarantees 15% damage off the enemy team, regardless of defense up, regardless of death proof. She's just a rock star. You know, she's throwing up heal over times. She is throwing up resurrections, you know, with death proof on top of that. So there is so much about her that is sensational. The only thing with Minn-Erva is that she doesn't necessarily have a T4 that's essential. Like, there's nothing that really jumps out. I mean, her primary, she puts a bleed on them, she gets regen for the lowest health character, but it's only a little bit more damage at max. So I wouldn't T4 this one. If you go through her genetic reconstruction, now an extra 2,000 healing sounds pretty good, but at the same time, you're usually more interested in getting things that scale. Because when we eventually get level 75, level 80, 2,000 health is unfortunately nothing. It's not a scaling statistic. So what you really want is more abilities that have, you know, plus 20, plus 30, plus 40%. If this had to set another 5, 10, or 15% healing, 100% I would invest in that ability. Now, if we look at her ultimate, exactly the same issue that I just had. It's only an extra 1,000 health, okay? It's not spectacular. And then we just basically get a little bit more speed increase whenever there is an enemy death. So, you know, they're okay, but they're certainly weak from that point. This is a character you should farm. Now, she's not farmable in the game right now, so that means that you're going to need a healer. And that's where you get Ronan and Oracle combining to actually give the Kree team some heals in a raid environment. So if we have a look, Ronan, since the rework, is actually pretty darn good. So if we have a look, first of all, he's Hammer Smash. So what I love about this is a 2-staged attack. So that means you're going to reach out, he's going to point his hammer, it removes 2 buffs, and then he attacks. So if they have a counter, it'll remove the counter first. If they have a dodge, it'll remove the dodge first. So he basically always hits with this ability, unless they have a very high dodge chance, like a Spider-Man or a Vision. So this attack is actually really, really good. Actually, no, I take that back. This is an unavoidable attack. So there, even just that first ability is quite good. Now, when we have a look at the next thing, is where he's going to get his summons. Now, he's going to bring in either Kree Reaper or Kree Noble combinations. But the real strength of this is that he's actually doing a clear. He's doing a cleanse of his squad for 2 negative effects from all allies. When you combine this with the Kree Noble passive, realistically within one rotation, most of the debuffs that your team could possibly get up, even from a Brotherhood Venom squad, is going to rip a lot of that away. And that's going to allow your team to function exactly as they should. Because heal block is definitely the enemy of a Kree team if they're able to keep those up. So the summons are okay. I mean, the real thing that they do is that they feed energy back into the team in the form of Minn-Erva, okay? She's getting a speed boost when that happens. Now, if we talk about Universal Weapon, this is probably one of the most underrated abilities in the game for me right now. People don't talk about this ability enough. Not only does he do AoE damage to everyone for a reasonable amount of damage. I mean, for a character of this type, you don't expect a massive amount, but it's reasonable. But he applies ability block for 2 turns. 2 turns on the primary target, and then ability block to another 2 random enemies. This is in a team of 5 in some sort of a arena environment or a blitz environment is awesome. Okay, the fact that you can just shut someone down for a couple of turns is perfect. So it is on a relatively high cooldown. If this team is really pumping though, they're really getting that energy coming back through, it can come up more than you think. Especially in a raid style environment, you'll get a couple of uses out of this one. So I really like Ronan. And then this is obviously something that comes through as well. So whenever a Kree gets energy, they change their speed bar by 20%. So that's where this team's speed comes from. And then they're healed by 2,800 health and 15% of Ronan's health. Now, this effect may be triggered by another passive, okay? The way that they've worded this is just designed to just get these big stacking feeds. And it refers mainly to Oracle's abilities, I believe. Now then you're getting 15% resist, 15% resist to Kree allies, 20% max health, and 20% damage to non-summoned Kree allies. I mean, what's not to love about Ronan's kit? Would I T4 any of these abilities? No. I mean, an extra 15% resist in this game is nothing because resist is such a low statistic anyway. And in many cases, people are just going to roll straight over the top of you with RNG anyway. So Ronan is, if you're going to be running a team for Kree, pretty much essential, okay? Now, where you get into the randomness is who to put in with them. So we're not going to talk about Ronan too much today, mainly because he doesn't really bring much in the way of synergy to this team. We're also not going to run Captain Marvel for 2 reasons. Number 1, I've still got her at level 1. I have not had the gold, the energy, or the time, or the gear to be able to really get in and test her out. I think she's a fine character. I think that she has better places in Avengers, military, or even brawler squads than she does in Kree, though she would be fine. All right, she would gain from the energy, but she wouldn't really be giving much back to that squad. Now, the 3 spots that you're really considering here is Reaper, Cyborg, and Oracle, okay? Now, for fun today, I'm actually going to show you a comp with Ultimus. Now, he's only tier 8, so I suspect that in this Gamma Raid, he is not going to do very well, even on one of the early nodes. But hey, we're going to have a little bit of fun, and people who haven't got him yet can see that he's a little bit busted at the moment. He needs some love, especially because he's so difficult to obtain, especially for free-to-play or early game players. So let's talk about Reaper first. Now, Reaper is my preferred for most situations, purely because she has more reliable energy feed to the team. So that is basically her primary target's going to hit for 270% damage, and then she's got a chance of hitting with a bleed. All right? Nothing too spectacular. Definitely not worth a T4 ability for the guaranteed bleed. Now, this one here with the heal block, I don't think it's worth investing in the T4. I mean, there are certainly much better abilities than this. If you are someone that, you know, has done all the stuff, you're a Kraken, you've spent all the monies, there's nothing else to T4, it's okay for an extra turn of heal block, but certainly nothing spectacular. This ability on a 3 energy cooldown hits like a truck, okay? It does a lot of damage, especially when it crits. Now, that's important for a couple of reasons. So, number 1, when Reaper does crit, she's going to heal herself for 15% max health. It's also going to generate ability energy for 1 to 2 random Kree energy allies every time that she hits with that crit. Also, you're going to get a guaranteed 10% crit chance as well as a 5% crit chance per Kree minion ally. So this character crits a lot, and if you position it next to Noble, that gives you extra chances for more crit, and that means more chance of gaining energy for the team. Now, I like her in this slot because all she needs is crit, okay? That's the only thing that she needs. It doesn't matter whether the character is a tank, has defense up, has death proof. It's going to hit. If it crits, you get the energy and you move on, okay? So it's all quite good. A lot of people like the idea of Cyborg. I like the idea of Cyborg as well. But unless you have a 5, 6, or 7 red star Cyborg, unfortunately, his main role in this team is quite useless. So if you have a look at his primary, it has this great ability that if you kill something, it's going to chain to an additional target, and it's also going to give ability energy up to 1 to 2 random allies, not necessarily just Kree. The problem with this when you're dealing with Gamma 4 or raids like this is that it takes a long while to kill, okay? And then you can't necessarily guarantee that he's going to be the one to do it. Now, if this was a passive, if it worked for his primary and his secondary, my opinion of Cyborg would change a lot. But at the moment, unfortunately, no. I mean, this ability is great. The fact that you hit once very hard and then you hit a second time very hard, it's a great ability. And the fact it's only on 3 energy cooldown, it's quite tremendous. The problem is you might be getting energy from your colleagues, but you're not giving anything back. And that's what the Kree team really needs. You need energy on Kree Royal Guard. You want energy on Ronan, and all that energy flying around also gives your team heals. So we really want as much energy gain as possible, and the energy gain from Cyborg is just not reliable in endgame content. Against a minions team or something like that, sure. I mean, it's going to do some real work there, but in most other teams, no. If he had TM fill like a Gamora or like a Black Panther, that might change things. But for me, I actually usually find that Cyborg is the one I leave out, and not just because he's one of my lower red starred characters. Now let's talk about Oracle. Now, in some raids when they're quite punishing and you have damage coming through in just insane amounts, Kree Oracle can actually do some really, really great work for the Kree team, even at slightly lower healing abilities at tier 9, which is where I have him at the moment. Now, the Kree Energy Pistol, not only are you shooting something, but there's a very high chance that you're going to give ability energy to an enemy. Great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually quite good. Now, if we have a look at the heal, it's going to apply regen to all allies. If Ronan is around, it's going to give an extra layer of regen to the Kree minion allies and Ronan as well. So this is not bad, okay? It's not fantastic, but it's not bad. Heal block can obviously pull that apart. But this is quite cool, okay? So whenever this character or an ally gains energy, heal them for 1400 health and 5% of this character's health. Now, if that target is Ronan or a Kree minion, heal them for 2800 health, so double, and 10% of this character's max health, double again. Now, those of you that have either played this team or those of you that are quite good at very obvious maths, if you take the passive from Ronan and the passive from Oracle and you put them together, this is a team that can take care of itself pretty darn well. So if you want a really good sustain team in a raid, okay, then you can absolutely take the Kree through with 2 healers, you know, so a Minn-Erva and an Oracle. If you really want that, you know, extreme amount of damage coming through, it's going to be slow going on DPS, but it can work. Alternatively, obviously with Minn-Erva not being able to be farmable, don't stress, Oracle does a fine job of healing this team out. So we're going to show you those various options today when we run through. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on Ultimus here. I'll show you Ultimus, but he's kind of garbage. And the main reason he's garbage is this right here. He has 71 speed. He is so unbelievably slow. It's not even close to funny. Now, because obviously energy might be able to give him a little bit of a boost from this particular Kree team, he's still far too slow to be able to do much. Unless he gets a kill, all right? His passive can give a little bit of a speed boost, but It's really nothing special. The only thing that really shines on Ultimus is if you come up against something like a Luke Cage, where basically he's going to hit once for 310% damage. If Cage was taunted at the time, for example, he's going to get offense up first. Then he's going to hit for 240% damage for every positive effect on the target, and then flip all those positive into a negative. I mean, this ability is fantastic. But if you see the cooldown on this, it's insane. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 energy. It's just too much. So as a bit of a gag, and for those of you that haven't seen much Ultimus action, just to show you that you're not missing out on anything yet, we're going to run our first combination using him. So what I normally use in raids, we'll show you last, is Royal Guard, Kree Noble, Minn-Erva, Ronan, and then Reaper. Pretty much this top 5. Just so happens to be they're my most powerful as well. That actually was coincidence, but they've been working quite well together for me. Now, if you don't have Minn-Erva, slot your Oracle straight in there. You'll be just fine. Don't put crazy amount of gear or energy into Oracle unless you've got really high red stars, because I promise you, you will replace with a Minn-Erva at some stage. So let's go and have a look at where we're at in our... Gotta love the offers, man. Let's go and have a look at where we are in Gamma. I've been sitting on some energy so that we can show you what we're going to do. Team's going quite well. We've been fortunate enough to 100% this raid back-to-back so far this season. We're having a bit of a rest today because it takes a toll. So we're into the Kree or Ravager nodes at the moment. This one's usually relatively easy. So what I might do is use this as the opportunity to show off my underpowered Ronan. Okay, so let's get our Ronan in the middle. Let's get our Ultimus next to him. Then we'll take our Minn-Erva, our Noble at this end so we can feed some assists into Ultimus, give him some offense up, and then our Royal Guard. Okay, so that's not too bad a team, but Ultimus is definitely going to let us down a little bit, so it'll be slow going. Let's see how we go. All right. I do like Carnage's artwork. He's quite slender for the Carnage that I would picture. I mean, he's certainly no tank like Venom is supposed to be, but he's not bad. All right, here we go. Okay, so let's see what we've got on the board there. We've got their tank, so he could feed energy to Kree abilities on their side as well, if they had any. So what I'm going to do, because they've got a Yondu, there is no point in me using this taunt. So I'm just going to use my counter for this first attack. That right there would have taken my taunt away and would have been an incredible waste. So I'm going to use it on the next one instead. Okay, they've got nothing much to do, so we're just going to use the auto from her. Now, what I'm going to do just to get rid of their taunt there... Actually, yes, I will do that. So let's get rid of that. As you can see, the dispel, everything we talked about. Now let's see what Ultimus can do with some assist and offense up. Okay, didn't even get a chance to do it. As I said, this is quite a weak little node. Let's get some AoE from our buddy Ultimus here. Okay, really doesn't do too much. Now let's give our tank some time to shine. So we've got energy feed, number 1. Energy feed number 2. This is where the T4 can kick in. If you get lucky and you can keep that taunt up, but you have to be mindful. Now we have a buff up on this character, so we're going to shoot it with the Noble, and that's going to feed energy back into Ronan. Ronan gets a speed boost, just like you saw just now. Now let's get some ability blocks happening. Actually, no, let's get some minions out to play. All right, let's finish off this tank. Okay, all right, let's get an assist. We'll take out this boomer. All right, went on to Minn-Erva. Let's take out this Yondu. All right, now I might wait a little bit. He might get one more turn before the end of this battle for Ultimus to use his ultimate. Let's see if we can get someone with some buffs up. Okay, that takes care of the Yondu. Now, we don't want these boomers doing their AoE. This one's going to go. So let's ability block him for 2 turns. And the damage that does to that team, it is such a good ability. It's really, really underrated right now. I don't know why more people aren't excited about it. Now, we don't really need any assists here because Ultimus has already got that offense up. And that primary will do its job just by itself. All right, I'm going to let that Royal Guard taunt. And I want to hit him with Ultimus if I can. I have a feeling Ultimus is going to go before him, though. And then we probably won't get another chance. Let's see. Yeah, I had a feeling. So, yeah, let's just, let's see if we can get what we want out of this. I really want you to see him punching a few things. No, look at that. I have to dispel him. What a bummer. Okay. That's all right. You can't win them all. We'll have a go at someone. We'll let Ultimus unleash because he's not coming back for the next node. All right, we'll just have a bit of a poke around here and finish everyone off. Okay, don't want to waste that taunt because we're nearly at the end of this particular round. So let's use these ults, okay? Let's slow it down so you can see exactly what this does. So he goes in, puts in a big hit, hits reasonably hard, but with no buffs on that target, it's really a bit of a waste, unfortunately. All right, let's just finish it off with some passive abilities, saving all our energy for that next node, and then we'll swap out and we'll show you what the Oracle combination looks like. And then I'm going to show you my usual raid setup for the less tanky nodes, which is, of course, utilizing it with the Reaper in that 5th slot instead. Okay. All right. Actually, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll switch it up. I'm going to take out Minn-Erva, okay? What I'll do is I'll show you the setup that utilizes both Reaper and Oracle. So this is basically the team that a lot of you would have farmed, the two on the right, the two on the left, for getting Nick Fury in the first place. So why not use this? A few people will have this team, and we'll show you how it performs even at tier 9, tier 10. Admittedly, yep, I do have some red stars, I'll acknowledge that, on this particular squad. But let's show you what it can do. Alright, so we have a Yondu up, so again, hold fire on your taunt, especially because your taunt is going to put offense up on this bad boy right here. Cyborgs need to be feared in raids because they can do a surprisingly ridiculous amount of damage. Now, hopefully we get energy from Oracle. There we go, that gave me some speed back on my tank. Alright, I'm going to save that defense up clear so I can get some energy and turn meter boost from my Noble. Okay, in fact, let's take off this offense up instead. Energy goes to Ronan. Ronan gets some nice heals. That's great. Now, we don't want Yondu getting his AoE off, so let's bang, 62k in your face, son. Alright, let's ability block the cyborgs. Now, I got lucky there that neither of them offensed up. Alright, so let's ability block them. Spread across to the Noble. That's pretty great, actually. Now, we don't need this, so what we're going to do is just go for the, hopefully, some energy. Didn't get it. It's not a guaranteed percentage. Let's go for their highest target, which is the Noble. Okay? That Reaper-Noble combination, there's a bunch of damage coming out of that. And that's usually why I position it the way that you're seeing right here. Let's finish off that Cyborg, just in case I do get a taunt back up. Let's just go for the Noble for now. We'll finish that off. Now there, Ronan will go. Let's just try and get some energy here. Yes, we do for the tank, which is always great. Let's try and get some more energy as we strip off this buff. Fantastic. Alright, now I think what we want to do here, looking at turn meter, we probably, you know what, I'm not going to waste the big hit. I'm going to go straight for Ronan to clear him out. Reaper. So good. Alright. They're all pretty scrub here, so what I'm going to do is save my taunt, just because, again, that cooldown, it's rough. So let's bring out some of my own. We'll let the... There we go. The AI absolutely loves going after the minions. Try and get some more energy around the team instead of using the assist. Again, you can clear faster just by spamming that assist. It's going to destroy. But, again, if you can give energy to the squad, you'd be crazy not to. Alright, we need to take care of this Yondu pretty quickly. I don't want to taunt because it's going to give that Cyborg the offense up. So what I'm going to do just in case, I'm going to get this regen up in case they get some hits off. Alright, big bada boom coming from me. Let's clear out this Cyborg. Do you know what? That's a lot of damage from there. So let's bring this through. Get rid of him. Man, that combination of those two is so good. Alright, let's shoot him so we can try and get some energy off of the clear on Yondu instead. Now, 5 enemies left, so let's not use his big hit. Let's just get rid of him. Okay, we can get some energy from here, however. So this is putting this team into really great space because it means that for the next node, they can pretty much casually walk in and everyone's going to have full energy. And this is how you want to finish up a fight with the Kree. Now, obviously, you will be clearing these nodes much faster than I am right now. This is the curse of when you are trying to talk through the best way to use these teams, is that we have to waste a little bit of time with my blah, blah, blah. So that's your traditional minions team. And as you can see, it works just fine. Now, these nodes are relatively easy. If you were to take these same teams against the endgame nodes, you are going to find it a little bit harder. And if you haven't got that sort of, you know, tier 11 minimum, you're probably going to feel a little bit of pain. So the double heal option for those later nodes is quite good. For now, let's use the team that I would use, and that's this one right here, okay? Now again, this node is relatively easy. One of the other guys has already done the next boss node, otherwise I would have loved to have shown you that. But this gives you a pretty good feel of the flavor of the Kree. I don't think they're the most meta team right now. I think there are definitely teams that you should farm first. Okay, let's get our taunt up. But I think they're absolutely fine as they are. And funnily enough, in Alliance Wars, I quite often use them to take out Brotherhood teams because they are very good at stripping off those buffs. Then they heal themselves and they just outlast, to be quite frank with you. They just outlast the Brotherhood teams. They just die while they're trying to play catch up, okay? So this team is good. It has a lot of single target DPS with our two crew up on the left-hand side there. And it's all about just doing what you can to maximize the energy. Now, the funny thing is, you actually get more energy in a team that has Oracle, not Minn-Erva. So that's something that every now and again you may want to consider when you are selecting your Kree team. All right, let's try and take out some of these single hitters. They're going to go off beforehand, so let's switch back to Ronan because he's got the next turn meter of those three. Again, that crit, that means energy and something falls down. All right, let's go again. Ronan this time. Even him with an offense up goes pretty hard. We're doing pretty well across the board heal-wise. Let's see if we can tag this with that bleed. Let's go for a boomer with the assist on Reaper. Insta-jib, very nice. I don't think that's going to finish off the Reaper, so let's just do it manually. Okay, Boom is going to hit everyone here. Okay, we get that turn meter going over to Minn-Erva, which is obviously great. Okay, now we have to hit this bruiser at the moment. Okay, energy from that hit. So it's times like this when you've got a little bit up your sleeve and that T4 ability on the tank can shine. I mean, that's 2 out of 3 where he's provided energy to his team this time around. I've certainly seen better. I've certainly seen worse. But please don't put a T4 onto him. I did, and I can now tell you with confidence, it's not worth it. Okay? It's great when it works. I will not undersell that, but not enough to invest in it. You know, save him for your old Tron. You're going to need it from him for sure. He has some gangster ones. Alright, we're cruising through this really easy now. As you can see, there's no real strat. It's just about, do they have a buff, yes or no? Can I get energy from that buff? Oh, and Reaper, when she hits. Alright, let's try and get some energy here. We didn't get it that time because it didn't clear the buff, unfortunately. But as you can see, we didn't really have to use an active heal once, just because the energy feed that flies around the Kree team just passively heals everyone up. It also gives them enough energy to keep flying ability after ability after ability. So the Kree is a good raid team. It's a great Alliance War team. It's a great blitz team. I wouldn't be using it in any sort of defense team whatsoever for the arena, simply because the defenders can ruin your day as a Kree. So this team can go toe-to-toe with almost any team in the game in an arena format except Fury and Defenders. Fury and Defenders can take this team apart purely because they can pick off your healers before you can act. Okay? Against a tech team, you'd be surprised at how effective this team could be. You do need to time your defense up, especially if you know that there's a rocket about to go off. But the fact that you can do so many cleansers and get around Draxes, even against those new up-and-coming, meta tech team hybrids with Guardians, you're still going to do okay with the Kree. So I wouldn't say take them to T12 over a Fury, a Brotherhood, or something along those lines, or even a Defenders. But I think as your next raid slot down, or if you are an alliance that's trying to push endgame content for T4 Gamma Raid, so Tier 4 Gamma Raid, yeah, this team works spectacularly well on everything except the final boss node, which has, I think it's 2 Punishers. So you kind of need your friends to go in and kill those Punishers first, do you a favor, and then you can go in with your Kree team. So I hope this gives you a better understanding of the Kree team. I personally love the way they've panned out post rework. I think they're supremely underrated. I use them a lot in this game. So I hope you have some success with them. If you do, make sure you drop a comment and a like on this video. If you want to see more videos, make sure you tick the little bell. And you can also download the Strikeforce Masters and Launch podcast, where we talk about things like this every single week. So thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you really soon. Cheers.